What's going on, everybody? Jose here, and I wanted to do a quick demonstration of my new mod, Pulver. Now, Pulver is a pretty neat mod in my opinion. It's a very lightweight mod. It doesn't have an in-game configuration GUI because it pretty much doesn't do much of anything except dynamically add some dusts. And so these dusts are added according to... There's a few that are added by default. There's copper, tin, silver, lead, iron, and gold, which are added by default. But if another mod adds any type of dust for an ore, for example, if another mod adds iron dust, registered in the ore dictionary as ore, or rather as dust iron or dust gold, then it will not register the dust. It won't add any duplicate dusts. So, as a result, this actually has a really useful mechanic for not one but two, come to find out, mods that we have here in 1.11, which is what the mod was made for. So one of the mods, which I'll go ahead and show off now, is Extra Utilities 2, and I'll install Actually Additions afterwards. I just wanted to show you these independently so you know that they aren't affecting each other or contaminating each other. So all I have is Extra Utilities, Just Enough Items, and my mod Pulver. So Pulver will add these two dusts, and if we take a look at JEI, we can actually see that the recipes can be obtained through the crusher, as it happens. And you can see that both of these are going to produce iron dust and gold dust, because it seems as though Extra Utilities grabs the ore dictionary results for these recipes. Without Pulver, these recipes would not exist. So it's a pretty good thing that they exist in this situation. Otherwise, a lot of the crusher recipes wouldn't even work. So let me install Actually Additions and show you how that works as well. And I might even throw forestry in the mix just to show you guys a few other things as far as that goes. And we'll just kind of move on from there. Okay, so I have loaded Actually Additions as well as a mod called Embers by Elucent, and we've kept the other mods installed. And so something interesting has happened as a result. Now this is expected on my end, but something that you guys may find interesting. One of the things that has occurred here is that, for example, Actually Additions will actually add its own dust. It's actually called, I think it's powder? Crushed. There we go. So it adds its own crushed gold and crushed iron. And if we go into debug mode here, we can actually take a look at the ore dictionary names, and you'll see that they include dust iron and dust gold. Now, if we take a look at Pulver, well, the iron and gold dust that we had earlier is gone now. Well, what the heck happened? Well, like I said, it checks to see if it already exists or not. In this case, it did. So what did it do? Well, of course, it was just like, well, no need to do that. No need to initialize these, so instead of initializing an unnecessary item, it just went ahead and used what existed. And you can see that the recipes are still working just fine in the crusher. They're just going to switch over to the other ones. So you'll want to be a little bit careful messing around with the metadata for these, because the metadata has now changed with the Pulver dusts, because if I show you here, we now have 0, 1, and 2 for our metadata, which is exactly the same as what they were before, where we had 0 and 1 for iron and gold. So now all of what used to be iron dust would now be copper, and what used to be gold would now be silver. So where are the iron, silver, and lead coming from? Embers. Embers adds iron, or rather copper, lead, and silver, ore, but they don't add any dust versions, as you can see through the mod. So I felt, this was a perfect example mod to use for the situation, as it adds the ores, but it doesn't add any variety of dust. So this is where the dust will come in handy, because now we have the ability to go through and have dust variants that we can use in the crusher. So this sort of in its own nature, in its own essence, has added a set of recipes for us without even having to do anything at all. So this is basically why I made Pulver. It's not, a super crazy mod, but I definitely think it's neat. The textures are very easy to change, so if you don't like these textures being layered, then just make the first texture. There's 2 texture layers in the image, or in the mod. If you just make the first layer transparent, you can change the second layer to be just any generic dust texture, and it'll apply the same color overlay to it. So if you prefer just the pile of dust texture that pretty much everything in Minecraft has, between redstone and crushed, and this weird, or not weird, but this shape, this kind of triangular shape almost, you can go for it. I just prefer how this looks, and this was actually a texture that was made for me back quite a little while ago for Crisscross, and I felt like reusing it, and I think it looks great. So I hope you guys enjoyed the very short little instructional and purpose explaining video on what Pulver is, what it does, and why you should install it. So hopefully, if you don't already have dust that you're needing, go ahead and look into this mod. And if you need to add dust for other mods, for example, if I didn't include by default, like I said, if one of the 6 ores that I included wasn't one that you needed, and you know for certain using the debug tool that other mods have added an ore and an ingot under the same ore dictionary entry, then you can easily add a dust, no problem. So I hope you guys enjoyed, and thank you so much.